Hey everyone, welcome back to the Bruce Williams channel. Let me show you what I'm wearing today. This is the 116610LV from Rolex, the Submariner, the Hulk, that I know some of you absolutely hate, but I absolutely love. This is one of my favorite all-time watches, and I'm wearing it today. But I want to talk a little bit about two different models that are cross-shopped surprisingly often, even though they sit in very different price segments. So let me read a very short email here from a viewer, from Steven, who says, "Good morning, Bruce. As ever, always enjoy and look forward to your videos. Do you think the Highlife from Frederique Constant is worth the step up from the Tissot PRX, in your opinion, in that ilk of watch? Kind regards, Steven." Well, here's the problem that I run into, Steven, while making videos and being in this hobby, is that every watch enthusiast has a different opinion on what constitutes worth it and value for money. And like many of you, I will look at the specs of a watch, I will look at the price of the watch, and then I try to make my decision, and I compare the two. And let's break these two watches down. Let's start with the Tissot PRX. This is a watch that I purchased brand new when it first came out. I got the quartz variation. I spent a little bit over $300 from my authorized dealer, and I think it's a great piece. You know, it has powerful wrist presence. It has surprisingly sharp dial details. It has lovely light play. And again, it's very satisfying for the price of $300. And when I compare the Tissot PRX to other $300 watches from Seiko, from Orient, from Citizen, let's see, I'm looking at micro brands, I'm looking at some Hamilton, I really think the Tissot is packing quite a value in for the price. Is it perfect? No, it doesn't have the best water resistance. It doesn't have the best anti-reflective treatment. We do have split pins connecting the links together. Occasionally on some of the edges on the bracelet, you can see the uneven finish work, but I have to remind myself, it's a $300 watch. It's not a $30,000 Royal Oak from Audemars Piguet. So for the price, I think it is very strong. The one thing that kind of bothered me about the one that I had, like many of you, is the quartz movement. The quartz movement, it's completely hit or miss out of the box if it's going to line up each tick perfectly as that second hand sweeps around the dial. I've known viewers that bought the exact watch from my authorized dealer and they're getting perfect alignment. The one I had, that second hand was almost laughably off. I ended up giving that watch to a good friend of mine who loves it, who wears it all the time. And when we go out to lunch and I see him wearing it, I go, you know what? That's pretty awesome. I'm glad he's enjoying that piece. I like the piece, but realistically, it was not going to steal wrist time in my collection from Seiko, from Oris, from Omega, Cartier, Rolex. So that's what I think about the Tissot. Let's go to the Frederique Constant Highlife COSC. This is a watch that I had hands-on with not too long ago that I reviewed, and I was just very impressed with. The retail price is $1,995, so just shy of $2,000. But the nice thing is you can get good discounts on Frederique Constant. In fact, I have a discount code for a Frederique Constant authorized dealer in California, the same AD that lent it in, which would take the price to just under $1,500 brand new. And this is a chronometer. This is not a quartz movement. This will be a modified Sellita movement that is very pleasantly finished, very well dialed in, surprisingly sharp dial details just like the Tissot, only it has very good anti-reflective treatment on the sapphire crystal. The integrated bracelet carried nicer finish work throughout. It had a solid, hefty feel, no split pins, a pin and tube system for connecting the links together. And just, you know, the signature in the crown, the signature on the clasp, the overall just fit and finish was very good. Full articulation on the bracelet. And not to mention, you got an included rubber strap that you could switch, you know, the integrated bracelet off of and put on the rubber strap. And that kind of reminded me of the Vacheron Constantin Overseas that I bought in 2020. You know, I had a few different strap options from the factory there. So I really think that that watch carried great value for its respective price of $1,500. I look at other $1,500 watches from Longines, from Oris, from Zinn, from Monta. There are some really great, you know, watches out there at that price. But man, that Frederique Constant, that felt like a more expensive watch. Honestly, it felt more like a $3,000 watch with the chronometer certification, with the extra strap, the fit, the finish, the detail work. That one was very satisfying. And I will say, as a general rule of thumb, when you're spending more on a product, you're generally going to get a nicer product. That's not always the case, and there will be differences. So actually, let me highlight one. Again, I'm wearing the sub. This is a $9,000 watch at retail. Let me show you another diver here. This is the Omega Seamaster Professional. This is about a $5,000 watch at retail. And this one is selling for almost 20. This one is selling for maybe 4.5. And is this 4 times less of a watch than the Submariner? Definitely not. I do think the sub is nicer, but it comes down to how much you value those very small differences. And the same definitely could be said for the Highlife and the PRX. Is the Highlife worth, 5 times more than the Tissot? Probably not. You'll get some watch enthusiasts that go, absolutely it is. And you'll get some watch enthusiasts that go, no way in heck it's not. And they're the same watches. They're the exact same watches. So it is completely subjective. But Stephen, let me tell you what I would do with my own money. If I was adding for my collection, I would spend the premium and I would get the Highlife. I really think that's incredible value for money. It's very satisfying, and it's a little less derivative in design DNA from the Royal Oak or from some of these other more well-known watches than the Tissot PRX is, especially if you're going with the automatic variation of that piece. Now I'm going to leave you with one other watch to consider as we wrap up the video, and that is a Maurice LaCroix Aikon in 39 millimeters. And I owned the 41 millimeter when it first came out, however many years ago that was. And I will say, it's a really nice watch. It is a bit, derivative in design language, which some of you don't care about at all, not an issue. Others of you go, you know what? I'm not paying for, a pale imitation of the watch I really want. I'm going to spend that money on something else that's its own thing, so to speak. So I will say it's a very sharp watch. It's not a chronometer, but it does have a very nice bracelet. It does have lovely dial work with that Clou de Paris dial. And I found it very satisfying, even though it isn't quite as original as the Highlife is in design language. So take that for what you will. But at the end of the day, that's my thoughts on contrasting those two watches. You'll hear watch enthusiasts very emphatically say, you should go with one over the other. Who's right? Let me tell you, you're right. Whatever you choose, it's for you. It's your wrist. It's your money. It's your collection. So I'm happy to share my opinion, but at the end of the day, I'm just one of those guys that's sharing my opinion, and what you think is what matters most. So guys, tell Stephen what you would do in the comments. Would you go with the Tissot? Would you go with the Maurice LaCroix? Would you go with a Highlife COSC from Frederique Constant? Would you keep saving? Would you go with a Girard-Perregaux Laureato or a Piaget Polo S or a Vacheron Constantin Overseas? Or heck, let's just say money doesn't matter, availability doesn't matter. Would you go with a Nautilus? Would you go with the Royal Oak? Let me hear what you think. Thanks for watching today. Hope you enjoyed the video. I'll see you next time.